Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
It feels like you can get your credit scores anywhere these days. Random websites, card statements, budgeting apps, heck, even your dog might bark out a few numbers. It's true. Credit Karma isn't the only place you can find them. But we actually do more with your scores to help you find your next financial opportunity. Like a more rewarding credit card, a game plan that helps you pay down debt faster, or a personal loan to help you save more on interest payments each month. Cha-ching! The possibilities are kinda endless. Download Intuit Credit Karma today to get started.
I failed you, Ben. I'm sorry. I'm sure you are. And when I kill you, I will have killed the last Jedi.
Every word of what you just said was wrong. I will not be the last Jedi.
Hello and welcome to Unequal Sequel. My name is Dave and I'm one of the two hosts of this spicy podcast.
And I'm Rich and I'm the other host of this spicy podcast. Think of me as sadness to Dave's joy. He's constantly happy and I'm a strange little blue fella.
That's a good one. The premise of Unequal Sequel is very simple. We ask our guests their best ever sequel, worst ever sequel, and finally their dream sequel.
And of course, we'll often drift off and talk about some other things. Sometimes movies, sometimes life in general.
And sometimes we do like to drop big fat spoilers. So if we mention a film you haven't seen and you don't want us to ruin it, then just go away, go and deflee the dog. You know, it's that time. He's been itching a lot. And then come back, because on today's episode, we are joined by Andy Gaffney.
Andy is a brilliant podcaster. If you haven't checked it out already, you should go and listen to the Promenade podcast. It is incredible. It's one of the best podcasts out there, and he's won loads of awards for it. So you really should check it out.
We're very excited to sit down with Andy and chat all things sequels with him.
These are Andy Gaffney's Unequal Sequels. Enjoy.
First question, Andy, is we got like a little one to get our brain working. Is what is the first sequel you remember seeing and getting excited about?
The first sequel I remember, there was always there was buzz in the house around GoldenEye coming out. I think it was because it was an Irish Bond, and I think my dad had met him once a few years ago, and they had done something, that sounds dodgy. They had done something, and so it was just kind of like, Bond is Irish, and I met him. We have to go see GoldenEye. So that was a bit, but I think the one that really like, it was, you were looking forward to it and you think like, God, what are they going to do? And it was on cornflakes and it was on toys. It was The Lost World, Jurassic Park. I think that was the one that was just like, you were so excited about. I can't believe how lucky we are that we're getting a second trip to Jurassic Park. And it was a machine in many ways. Like I said, like, I think even my economics teacher had a free Lost World watch that you used to get in the cornflakes, So like, it was so unreally exciting was when The Lost World was coming out.
That watch is probably worth a fortune now.
Oh, he's retired now, happily. That's the real economics that he thought was like, hold on to your cornflakes, Lost World watch.
Do you still get stuff in cereal like you used to?
I think it's all now like you can scan things and you can play a game. Was there a
period when kids went through eating the free things, and ended up getting sued? Probably.
Oh,
because they thought it was food.
Well, there's the whole like non-plastic stuff now, isn't there? So so yeah, with my boy, all the little toys, Happy Meal toys and stuff, they're all like books or made of cardboard or little stuffed toys and stuff. There's no like plastic crap like we used to get.
And you had your hand straight in there, like when those when they had the Power Rangers and the Frosties. Like,
Yes.
my hand was like straight in there.
To fight
Did you
my
have
brother
siblings
as
that you
to
had to fight?
Yeah, my brother was older. He was like, "Oh, what are you? It's a Power Ranger." Like, do you mean you've got actual Power Ranger figures? Why are you doing with this like this wee plastic thing that you're ruining my cereal for? But
Yes.
needs must, boys.
What age were you when The Lost World came out then?
It was 97, wasn't it? So
Yeah,
I
it was.
I would have been 12.
Good age.
Great age.
Yeah.
Good age. I'm guessing you've seen Jurassic Park by that point then in 93.
I did. It was a really lovely core memory. I obviously saw Jurassic Park. I must have been about 10, and I must have loved it. But the one that I really remember must have been that weekend or the next week or something, that me and my mother and brother were down the street, and she was like, pop into, this was like 3:00 in the day, and she was like, just pop into the shop there, get some sweets. And I was like, oh, fantastic. And then she said, no, look, we're going to see Jurassic Park again. I was like, but it's the middle of the day. And she's like, yeah, but there's like a matinee on. And like, I assumed I'd been to a matinee before then, but it was just the idea of it was so, I was like, we're going to see a movie that we've already seen that was brilliant. It's the middle of the day. And it was genuinely like the best feeling ever.
Yeah.
Like that, the fact that we were going to go see Jurassic Park for a second time in the middle of the day. And it was the best feeling ever.
Love that.
And what about the second one?
The second one is an odd feeling, isn't it? Because because like when you're a kid and you know what I mean, and like Goldblum was like, clearly now Grant was our boy, but like Goldblum was so cool in that first movie. So when you're a certain age, and then when you hear like, okay, the sequel is coming out and it's going to focus on Goldblum, and you're thinking like, okay, this is going to be great. And I definitely like that. There's that massive set piece in it, with the, mommy's very angry, where the two T-Rexes come and try.
That bit is great.
That is fantastic.
The tension when the glass starts cracking. Classic Spielberg.
It is wonderful. I remember thinking, there's something missing here. And I think it missed a bit of that magic of the first one. And I think it was trying, because like that, when you hear the theme song, you start bawling still. And the first one is, I think there's like a few perfect movies, and I think Jurassic Park is one of them. The second one, I think, for a long, long time, I thought was missing a lot of that magic. But I don't know, over the last few years, it's kind of, it's grown on me an awful lot. Do you think
that's because all of the ones that follow it are maybe not so good? And
I
so
think
you reevaluate Lost World a bit.
Yeah, I think it's very much like, well, look, let's not, let's remember the good times here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think The Lost World is a weird vehicle because half of it's on the island and it's all quite exciting, and then they've got that kind of weird bit in San Diego or whatever it is, and it doesn't feel like a Jurassic Park?
Yeah, that is, again, when your kid is probably the most exciting thing ever. Like it's a T-Rex chasing down the streets, but it is a very odd thing. But like I cannot believe that they took that idea of like the split narrative, and for the sequel to Jurassic World, had half it on the island, had half it in a livestock auction, and you're thinking like, who is like, oh, tell you what, I'm going to do this. I'm writing a Jurassic Park movie. I'm going to have it in a livestock auction. This is going to be, people are going to be thrilled. Now, I'm Irish. Livestock auctions are our bread and butter. Like, do you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, they've got that, they've got that clerking system dead on. But like, it's, it's odd. But now I think, as you rightfully said, when you consider what came after it, you think, oh, that was all right now. And plus it was Spielberg, who has never done anything wrong.
The thing with Lost World is I always get disappointed that Pete Postlethwaite just disappears.
Yeah.
Like,
it's really weird.
I was enjoying him. Like, he's a good character.
He's fantastic.
And then, like, just disappears. Where's he gone? Does he like...
I feel like we have to ask about the whole series now, though, the whole Jurassic Park, because there's one about to come next year again. How do you feel about 3 and the worlds, the kingdoms, the dominions? Have they made you love Jurassic Park a little bit less over the years? Or are you a fan?
When Jurassic World came out, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was great fun, and it was kind of like, I know we're going to get to a certain galaxy far, far away, and what happened there later on. But I think Jurassic World kind of did that kind of reboot, reinvention thing that Kevin Smith like spoke about, and it was fun. It was a bit, it did good things, but I think again it shows that they didn't have a plan at all in any way, because by the time Jurassic, the second one, came out, again it was a good fun. I like everything, like, you know what I mean, but it was good fun of a Friday night. Oddly enough, there was a VHS or a Betamax that I loved.
Wow.
That I loved as a wee kid, and it was a wee half claymation, half animation thing that was called. It was an English dub of an old Japanese thing called Dinosaur Rescue, and it was about these organization that had to rescue dinosaurs from an island that was going to explode and volcano, all that stuff. So in many ways it was like a live action version of that. So I was like, oh look, that's kind of exciting to see. But then as they want to turn into the livestock auction afterwards, that was a bit unusual. And Dominion was just so bizarre,
Yeah.
It was just so.
Yeah.
How did you consume films or videos when you were younger? Was it? Did you go to the video shop a lot, or was it mainly the cinema?
No, like video. It's a lot of cinema. I was quite lucky with that. Like, but the video shop was religion.
Did you have a little independent one?
There was.
And do you remember the name?
Yeah, there was definitely there was Dalton's first, and then there was the Club also, and there was a third one as well there was a lot of random shops that would just have videos in them, like they would sell random stuff, but they'd also do videos. I don't know how. There was obviously no rights issues or anything like that back in the day. They could just do whatever they
just do whatever they wanted.
They could just do whatever. They could just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to buy some videos and I'm going to rent them out. So there was a lot of independent ones, and there was, and then Extravision. Like that was the Irish blockbusters that came in.
Oh, okay.
And that was genuinely like, that was every weekend. You'd meet the lads there,
What is your best ever sequel?
The best ever sequel, and I was thinking long about this. You mean like, Last Crusade was coming to mind, but when you have Nick DeSemblin and you have Helen O'Hara, you don't see what I mean. So I'm glad that he's had proper film journalists to discuss that.
So we can get company.
So we can get down to the brass tacks. That is, I love The Last Jedi. I just love it. I love.
Let's make lots of people angry, Andy. Come on.
Yeah. Like I loved when that whole era when Star Wars came back was so genuinely exciting. It was so unbelievable. Like when those teaser trailers first came out, and they released that great cast photo. When everyone was sitting around and the cast was fantastic. Adam Driver, Donald Gleason. There was a real kind of like, Mark Hamill, Harris Ford. You think like, what on earth can this be? And then when that movie came out, when The Force Awakens came out, it genuinely felt like, it was Christmas, but it also felt like Christmas, Star Wars Christmas, because like, I'm not sure what things were like in England. I know there was lots of stuff, but like even the Spire, which is our monstrosity there in the middle of O'Connell Street in Dublin, turned into a lightsaber. They changed that into a lightsaber. You couldn't get a taxi. Wow. If you were booking a taxi, like on the apps, the app was changed to an X-Wing. It just felt like the entire world was suddenly,
Star Wars.
Was suddenly into Star Wars,
I loved it.
Yeah. It was just, it was that moment when in A Force Awakens, when when there's that great opening shot, and of the drop ships coming down, and it's the shaky cam and storm, the new type of stormtroopers are there, and it's like there's that great kind of fight on I can't remember the name of the planet, but like it's when you first, and then I really think this is fantastic, and it's one of my favorite Star Wars moments. Is that moment when Kylo Ren's ship lands and he just kind of like comes out and he has that voice and he says, "Look how old you've become," you know? And you're thinking like, you've no idea who he is. You've no idea what the situation is. How are we back into this? And it was very exciting to think, okay, this is a Star Wars world we don't know anything about. And like, you know, I still watch The Force Awakens every Christmas or so, because if there was that lovely kind of Christmas.
It's a Christmas movie.
It really is, like, you know what I mean? Like, and the more you mean think about it, look, it was, and I think this is JJ's thing, is that he'd kind of go like, yeah, that was cool, but I'm just gonna throw some JJ at it, you know? So, but I think that was it was needed, and it did the job that it had to do to get us to the genuine brilliance that is The Last Jedi. Like, I just love it. I just absolutely adore it, you know?
That Force Awakens movie, I know that everyone says it's a remake of A New Hope and it's not original and that sort of stuff, but I didn't care when I watched it. I watched it on my birthday, which is a couple of days before Christmas, and it was incredible. I loved it. I came out of it and I was so happy. You know, I was really kind of, the minute that kind of like, you know, in a galaxy a long time ago, far, far away, you know, that as soon as that line came up, I was like, yes, I'm in a Star Wars movie. And it was so good. And I didn't care that it was a remake of A New Hope. I was fine with that. Like, you know, I loved it. Loved every minute of it. And then Last Jedi, I didn't love so much when I first watched it, but I'm definitely reframing that. The more I watch it, the more I actually enjoy it.
Yes.
And then we won't talk about Rise of Skywalker.
No.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
I had a very similar thing to you, Rich. I went to a very early screening of Force Awakens. My brother lived in Dubai at the time and he was coming back to get married. But more importantly than him getting married to his beautiful wife now is him and me organising a trip to go see Force Awakens. So that was a big thing to us. And that screening was like a rock concert. One of my favourite ever screens. People actually lost their minds in lots of it. And then for The Last Jedi, I had a job at the time which allowed me to sign people in for BAFTA and Oscar screenings, which was amazing. And there was a Q&A afterwards with all the Last Jedi cast, including Mark Hamill and stuff. So I've always had this like rose-tinted glasses on with The Last Jedi because I had the best time watching it. And obviously there's John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, you know, Ryan Johnson, all those people. Benicio del Toro was there. It was insane. So I was like, and then people asked me, how was it the next day? I was like, oh, it's fucking incredible. And then I couldn't believe the next few weeks where people started to really hate it for some reason. And I've never really got on that train at all because I think it's great, like you, Andy. What was your first instincts like? Was it love straight away?
It was 100% love. But even the trailers was fantastic. And like, you know, when that I think it was in the teaser trailer when you hear Mark Hamill say like it's time to let the Jedi end, it was just so exciting, you know, and it was just so like, okay, what is this going to be? And when they started dropping the posters and it was that like clear vision, it was that red and white look throughout everything, and the title was so cool. It was really, really was like, okay, this is, you know, we've kind of set up this world, and now we're going to show you what we want to do with it. When we went to see it, it kind of became a nice, you know, when Force Awakens came out, we did that kind of. Probably me and the lads went to London it was an excuse, like, you know, we're like, that makes it sound like, you know, I mean, we've no cinemas here, we've got a lot of great cinemas, but you know, it just became like, come on, let's go, look, this Star Wars back, let's go for the weekend, have a bit of crack, it's near Christmas time, and we went to the Empire, and it was
great cinema.
It was fantastic, you know. So then when The Last Jedi we said like, we had a great time. So then that all became part of it, is that this kind of, you know, bunch of lads traveling together as well. So it became a lovely tradition, and we went back then for the Last Jedi, and straight away it was just, this is like that opening shot is fantastic, when it really felt like, okay, this is, we're meaning business. And then you hear, you know, Donald Gleason is the person up, and I'm a massive Donald Gleason fan. We're very, very lucky that I've seen him do theatre a few times because there's a great playwright, Enda Walsh. If you ever get a chance to see an Enda Walsh show, do it. They do these massive productions as part of the Galway Arts Festival. Galway is where I live normally when I'm not in this crazy house. And they do these beautiful plays, and Donald Gleason is always has been front and center of a few of them. And I think he really is next level. So, in Force Awakens, how he was very, he was doing his thing, he was doing his evil empire thing. But then you could already see by The Last Jedi, they made him a little bit, he had a comedy line straight away, kind of hearing me, that whole thing, But still, they kind of kept that menace with him throughout, when later on, when he sees Kylo kind of passed out, you can see him just kind of reaching for his gun and stuff like that. I thought that was a wonderful, wonderful character. Adrian Edmondson is there straight away. You saw in the first 2 minutes. Do you mean I was, bottom was religion growing up. So you're just thinking this is fantastic. The best review that I can give was that by the end, you're thinking of the end of the third act. There's been that incredible fight, that incredible choreographed fight with Kylo Ren and Daisy Ridley against the Praetorian guards. So good. And the fire and all this stuff. And I know there's a point where the lad has a knife and it disappears. We'd be all right.
What?
And you think this is what a finisher, what a finisher. And then the escape ship, the escape pods, and they go down to that planet. The 88s are back, the AT-ATs are back, Kylo Ren is facing off against Luke, and I genuinely had to leave.
Wow.
I remember turning to my mate Colin, who was beside me, and I said, I have to go to I have to use the bathroom. This is
Oh no.
I was like, this is just too exciting. This is just genuine. I was like, I'm not gonna. He was like, Doctor, it's been only 20 minutes left, and we had booked these seats along because it was part of the crack, a long time. So we had good seats, and they're very, very long rows. So I held on to this feeling as long as I could. But by the time Mark Hamill, spoiler alert, by the time Mark Hamill is there passing away, it's too much. I had to stand up and say, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. And my friends, thought I was really upset. They're like, God, because I'm famously a wee soft boy, Right. I will cry at everything. So they thought this is, and it was very upsetting. But it was the best review that I could give that movie, was that I found it so exciting.
I nearly pissed myself.
I nearly pissed myself 5 stars. If Empire are hiring,
or I was willing to piss myself. 5 stars.
Yeah, had I been near the end of the row, I'd be like, I've got an exit after this. It's fine.
Brilliant.
That's so good. How? Because what people complain about Last Jedi is the bit in the casino, the Canto planet.
Canto Bight.
There we go. How do you feel about that offshoot side mission?
It's, I do think it could be. It's the one thing you cut. Yeah. It is the one thing you cut, or trim it down, or something. But I hate almost to say that about Last Jedi, because there's been so much kicking of it. It's kind of but it felt prequel-y, and clearly if that's what Rian Johnson, when you see what, before Last Jedi, Rian Johnson was very much, he was Looper and things like that. It was very kind of it was very
Brick.
It was very kind of cool and clearly Canto Bight was a bit of his sense of humor and a bit of play for fun that you'd see in Knives Out. So I would cut it, but also it speaks into probably one of my favorite themes of The Last Jedi, about the whole blending of colors, the light and the dark, that which again ties back to that lovely red, dark red, blood red and white that they use throughout, this blending of
I love that in that film.
of colors in the movie, that when the kind of DJ, Benicio del Toro's character, he has that line, he's like, good guys, bad guys, it's all the same in the end, about how the rebels or God, I can't remember what they call the new rebels. Oh, resistance. The resistance. Yeah, the resistance were, buying weapons from these guys as well. And it was just a great, it kind of was starting to sow those seeds that of there is no really good, there is really bad, there is really good, but it is going to get blended as we go on.
Yeah.
And then that obviously came into full on effect in that we'll go back that Praetorian fight, throne room fight, where Kylo, because he kept on thinking, right, they're going to do a redemption arc here. They're going to do a redemption arc. It's going to be in the third movie. They're going to do a redemption arc. And look, that's what we're doing. That's fine. This guy is a really great character. And then, like an hour and a half into the second movie, he's done that. Like, he's killed Snoke. He has to be, you think like, okay, God, we're doing this redemption thing early, aren't we? And then immediately afterwards, that starts to get twisted in a brilliant way, where he's like, no, look, let me, like, just take my hand, let me do this, kind of like, we can build something, no more light side, no more dark side. And just think like, it's just, why on earth didn't you pursue that?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that why didn't pursue. Like, I always like to, like The Last Jedi, the point is that you don't have to be a Skywalker to be a Jedi. It could be anyone. Like, Rey's just a person. She's just Rey. She's not connected to anyone. And then the choices they made to go into that third film. Quickly, that third film, did you and the lads have a crack in London for that one as well? And did that...
God.
Did that have a little bit of a dampener afterwards?
Do you know what? That's when I would have that in my head as the worst sequel. I have that in my head as the worst sequel. But also, I don't want to think about it too much. I don't.
That's fair.
It was.
But did you have a weekend in London?
We did have a weekend in London. We did have a weekend in London.
Okay.
And, I'd stopped drinking at that point. But like, I wanted to drink after that. After that movie, like that was. God, it was, as soon as the line in Rise of Skywalker was mentioned, as soon as that line, because you're a Palpatine, you just think, no, that's that.
Yeah. There's so much in that movie that's just so trash.
It's it's that line in Rogue One. We were this close to greatness, like,
Yeah.
It's like, I think Oscar Isaac's line where he's like, and Emperor Palpatine's back for some reason. That sums up this whole movie, really. It's just, it was just an overreaction to fan service, wasn't it? To stupid fanboys,
The bad guys won. The Empire won, essentially. It's like they made enough noise that, I saw a tweet there recently enough that I thought was fantastic. Someone said, God, remember when Rian Johnson made the best Star Wars movie and society ended? Like, like everything kind of felt different when Rise of Skywalker came out, because it really felt like, actually, The Force Awakens, trust us here. Like, trust us. We can build something. We're going to build up to something great here. And then with The Last Jedi, and they set up this new rules. Mark Hamill was broken. I love a beautiful broken boy and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I love loss,
I think that was the reason that I didn't initially like the movie. It's because I just wanted Luke to be better. I was just willing him to be better all the way through the movie, and then he was, and he died, and I was like, oh no.
It was just one. Yeah, no, I could understand. I could understand.
But actually, when I watch it back, I'm like, oh no, actually, that doesn't. I get it a bit more now. When my first initial reaction was that, but that's not the Luke I wanted. And then I'm like, I come back to it, and I'm like, yeah, but it's the one I got, and it's okay.
Yeah,
it's all right.
It's the one you needed.
That's the one we needed. But the blue milk, Jesus.
That whole third act fight, between Kylo and Skywalker, and it's just, you know, when they're just, and it's not even a lightsaber contact, you know, and it's just that, and I just love it, is when the camera is just like close up, you know, it's getting closer to Mark Hamill's face, and he just kind of says, you know, everything you just said is wrong, you know, the Jedi are born, and you know, the rebellion is born again today, and I just really felt like this is how we beat the bad guys, you know, is by just telling them that you can't just kick something until it's what you want it to be. And then sadly, that's exactly what the third movie was, that the bad guys got what they wanted by kicking something until someone said, okay, we listen, you know?
Yeah.
I at that point, I thought, with The Last Jedi, I thought, finally, Star Wars has to evolve at some point beyond what was going on before it. And at the end of The Last Jedi, I thought, finally, we've set some new rules here. Like you said, the tone's different. We've got this new brilliant Daisy Ridley character, Rey, who's learning the Force, and she's got nothing to do with anything. It's like, oh, wow, brilliant. That's a great ending. And then 2 years later, wherever it was, we get that part. And I was like, they've learnt nothing, and it makes me angry. But at that point, when I saw The Last Jedi, I was so happy with it. And I was buzzing afterwards. And I think, like, you were the same. Do you think, in your head, do you just, like, cut that third one out now? And there's only 2 of those Star Wars films. And you're still waiting for that third film.
I'm still waiting to go back to London. You know, I've got my ticket booked. You see, I do, and it's kind of, I'm like, I will watch The Last Jedi all the time, you know, but it's no matter what now. I kind of like, I know the Skywalker is there, and I know it kind of it let us down, and I guess in some ways it kind of freed us a little bit. That, you know, we kind of realized we were never going to get that kind of perfect ending. You know, you're never going to get that perfect ending. And then came, you know, Mandalorian, and came all the kind of the Star Wars TV shows that have been middling in quality, a lot of them. I just kind of thought, like, right, this is kind of, maybe this is the monkey's paw. This is a trade-off by getting those first few years, by getting those great trips to London. You know, this is the kind of the monkey's paw with it, that it's someone else's now. It is the corporations, and they're gonna do what they want to do. And look, things like Andor are brilliant. And, you know, my favorite line in The Last Jedi, it's a line that means an awful lot to me, is the line, you know, no one's ever really gone. You know, so no matter what the bad guys do, the last Skywalker is you know. And there was some all right stuff in it. Like, I hate to be too negative on anything, you know.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, but I think that, you know, I think it just set up such a world that I'm so curious about The Last Jedi, and, you know, it did such an interesting thing with politics, and I'm gutted. It's you know, probably the best Star Wars movie, if not second best, and I'm just gutted that the stuff I just would have loved, especially when the director for the third movie, when that switched around, you just kind of thought, God, maybe they'd think, yeah, let's give it to Ryan, let's let him finish,
and didn't
this, you know.
Yeah, I wish they had done that.
Yeah, I wish they do. What is been the most disappointing sequel? So it doesn't have to be the worst sequel, but you went in high and you came out low. I mean, we've talked a lot about Rise of Skywalker there, but is there anything that pops up for you?
That was, I mean, Jurassic Park Dominion would be the first. That would be the one that kind of, that
that's
kind
a great
of
shout.
Yeah, and the it's strange because, like, the ending of that movie is a friend of mine gives the last line. You know, it's all shot during lockdown. You know, and like
you can tell.
Yeah, that movie. You know, again, it kind of promised a lot, and I kind of felt like, look, that last movie, we went off the rails here, but we're going to do something good. We're bringing back the gang here. And it was just kind of nothing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think maybe Jurassic Park are just hard sequels to make, like recapturing magic, or maybe no one knows what that story needs to be. But, you know, you have the Chris Pratt's character, you know, the bike chase, the raptors, which on paper is probably quite cool, but it's not Jurassic Park, like, You know, it's not a Jurassic Park movie, and things can change and evolve and stuff, but it has to have some kind of thread. It has to have some kind of narrative thread to it. And with the, with the stuff involving the legacy characters, just felt like nothing as well, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Completely wasted. They're barely, it's pointless. And the whole storyline isn't even about dinosaurs.
It's about
the whole legacy characters are just about like locusts or whatever they are, yeah.
Yeah. Dominion now was disappointing, you know? And it kind of felt like that kind of Rise of Skywalker thing. It kind of felt like something being killed a little bit. It felt like something being put out to pasture or something, you know?
With legacy sequels or Lego sequels, or whatever we're calling them, are you bought into the hype a bit more, like the Rise of Skywalkers, the new Jurassic Worlds, because of our youth and your memories of the original films? So there's a bigger drop off for them.
Yeah, I'm a devil for enthusiasm. Like if someone kind of hypes me up enough for something, like if someone said to me, like, "Do you want to jump off that cliff or something like that?" I'd be like, "No, that's gonna hurt. That's something I should." But they're like, "I know, but come on, man. Here's a trailer for it." I'm like, I mean, you know, like, I think that's why in many ways I'm very, 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 very easy to please. Like if I even say to like my mates, like if I say to them like, "I that was all right," they're like, "Did that movie knock down your mother or something?" Like if you're saying something is just all right, like how bad must it be? But I'm a devil for it's like when enthusiasts, when they're like, "Oh no, this is it now, boys, this is it," like, you know what I mean? Like I love when the like in the Mission Impossible movies, there's something about the level of buzz that comes around those movies is great crack. I'm not sure people are half doing it for a joke or whatever, but like by the time a Mission Impossible movie hits the cinema, I could write in like Tom Cruise leaving the Olympics, like, you know what I mean? Because I'm just so psyched up for it. So I'm an easy mark for it.
So disappointment is hard. Is it hard for you to be disappointed, or really easy for you to be disappointed if you get so excited?
Hard for me because like I kind of, but also kind of like I think like it's fine. No one died, you know.
Yeah, sure.
No one died, but that's why the Rise of Skywalker.
Problem is, I think someone did on the Jurassic World Dominion.
They did.
I think there was an accident.
Yeah, there was actually.
So someone did die.
Yeah, which
for
is
that movie as well.
Yeah. So we'll put that as the worst sequel and put the Rise of Skywalker as a second in memory. Yeah.
That third one, were you expecting, because you've watched Fallen Kingdom and whatever, did you expect to have a film of dinosaurs roaming the earth and you thought, oh, finally we're going to see the return of the dinosaur age? And were you disappointed when they stuck it back in some kind of biogen park?
Yeah, because I feel like since the first movie or something, it's been kind of like an absolute kind of like, okay, what if dinosaurs now are back? How do we?
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing of like, this is their dominion. That was the line at the start of the movie, wasn't it? Jeff Goldblum was like, this is their dominion now. And it was just a bunch of lads running around like a park in America. And you just think, I'd hate to see it, but like, surely these would have been killed in 5 seconds flat.
You'd think something like that. Yeah. Taken care of.
Yeah. Like, and I wouldn't want that. And there's, do you know what I mean? And that's, but like in the grand scheme of things, there was about 5 dinosaurs legging it around, and they would have just been instantly murdered, and that is a bad sign. But like, it's it should have just been an escape or something like that. And I honestly don't know what you could have done to bring back those legacy characters that would have made any sense. But it was I can't even remember how that movie ends, to be honest. They just kind of go off, don't they?
With a whimper.
Yeah.
Really? Like, it's just with a fire. They kill all the locusts with a fire, don't they?
I like.
Yes.
That's kind of it. Really.
I like Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem again with those 3 movies is the chemistry between her and Chris Pratt is non-existent. It's like they've only just met each other 5 minutes ago, and you're supposed to believe they've been married for 5 years or however long it is, like, and raising a kid together. Like, and it's literally like they've just walked into the room and seen each other for the first time. There's nothing there. And, I think but she is a strong character. Like, I think she's probably the best thing across those 3 movies. But That's quite a low bar.
It'd be interesting to see now what to do with this next one, because I'm
Yes.
they've kind of gone, they finally kind of went, no, they're not out we're putting them back in the park. You know what I mean? It's kind of went, no, we're doing something, so it'd be weird to see a Jurassic Park movie without that hype sequel of like, oh lads, no, this is it now, this is their world, this is their, oh god, it'd be like, no, look, we're just making a Jurassic Park movie. And maybe that lack of hype might be the key to actually doing.
I generally thought they were going to have a big gap between Dominion. I thought, well, they won't do another one for a while. I know I'm stupid because Dominion made over $1 billion. So they were like, let's get another one out going pretty quickly. But I was surprised already to see like screenshots of Scarlett Johansson in it. Who else is in it? Michelle Ali. There was someone else. Oh, Jonathan Bailey.
Yeah.
It's called Rebirth, which is very much like, we're going again, guys, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. It's we'll try again.
I always think it's a bad sign when like the first bit of press is that someone turns it down, because there's that whole story that Glenn Powell turned it down, and you go, I know he was probably making a point, like, oh, if a movie doesn't need me, I'm not going to do it. But still, like, I think that if someone offered you a half all right movie with the money that they could probably pay you, you'd have a look at it,
Yeah. Maybe he's just
Jurassic Park,
maybe he's such a Jurassic Park fan that he's like, no, I don't want to be involved in that. It's going to be a mess. Like,
True, and didn't Chris Pratt say that he never wanted to be Indiana Jones because he was such a... I don't think anyone was offering him Indiana Jones. But
no, but then he sort of made himself Indiana Jones in those movies.
There was a period when Chris Pratt, I think, was getting offered everything.
Yeah.
It's very much like what Glenn Powell is going through now. So we'll see what happens. But are you excited for the next one?
Oh yeah, like I love a summer blockbuster. I really do. I love that feeling. I don't take it for granted. I love that feeling of going in. I think that comes back to that thing I mentioned about seeing Jurassic Park for a second time, completely unexpectedly, going in of a summertime in the middle, in the middle of the day. And it's just it's a cynical, as Jerry Maguire said, we live in a cynical world, like, and I think it's such a treat to go in and sit down and just go, look, there's Scarlett Johansson punching a dinosaur.
Brilliant.
Like, we're going to be okay, guys. So I will be excited. I'll probably go like, I would have done this, but like, I'll still be excited.
Yeah.
This will lead on nicely to what is the next question is, because you're being all optimistic now and you're like, yeah, things can be brilliant. What is your worst ever sequel?
Worst, and a movie that I probably hasn't been mentioned in 5-7 years.
I've never seen it until yesterday. I watched it yesterday for the first time.
It's the Cloverfield paradox.
Right.
Everyone said it's going to be. You thought I was going to annoy people with The Last Jedi, like. The Cloverfield paradox hive are going to be in your inboxes after this.
I mean,
there isn't one, is there?
If they are, I need them to explain what the hell happened in this movie, because like I say, I watched it yesterday. I've got no idea what happened.
And Andy, for a bit of fun, can you give us the synopsis of the paradox Cloverfield thing?
So,
here we go.
Chris O'Dowd, Elizabeth Debicki are on a spaceship.
Yeah.
They're on a space station. They're trying to, I don't know, are they trying to refire the sun? No.
They're trying to do something with power sources or some sort of energy crisis. I don't understand.
The Earth's dying somehow and everyone's fighting. And they're up there.
Trying to stop a war somehow.
With energy.
With energy.
Yeah.
They fire this. They go to an alternate timeline.
Well, that's where you find Debicki, yeah.
But that's where Elizabeth Debicki is. But you would think like, okay, they're in an alternate timeline now, and they're like, okay, grand lads, I've got this movie, I've got this down. Let's watch it. They go like, oh yeah, Cloverfield monster now, and you go, what? Sorry, what? And they're like, it's like, yeah, just Cloverfield monster now, and they're like, but why is there a Cloverfield monster? And Jesus, lads, I'm giving you a movie. Like, it's up to you if you want to watch it. Like, to be honest. Well,
we watched it, and I remember when this came out because there was no noise of it, and then they suddenly announced it at the end of like a Super Bowl or a Super Bowl trailer.
Yeah.
Like, in 4 hours, we're releasing a new Cloverfield movie, and lots of people were like, "Oh my god!" Because Cloverfield is good, and Cloverfield Lane is really good, I think. And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to buy into this." So I watched it, and I was like, "I do have no idea what's going on, how this is linked to Cloverfield." And then there is a sight of a monster or two, and I don't think the actors knew they were in a Cloverfield.
No, they definitely they were in a movie called God Particle.
Yes.
They shot a movie called God Particle, and it was clearly never being released. It was just never, ever, ever being released. Then that very, very cynical thing happened, where instead of just knocking it out on Netflix, where someone would find it drunk at 3 a.m. and go, "Oh, that was fun," they stuck not just the Cloverfield title on it, not just the Cloverfield title. They went, stick Cloverfield Monster in there, even though it makes no sense. And then they built it up that this was actually not going to be, because they had released Cloverfield Lane, and it became that this is going to be a kind of a Black Mirror-y, what's the more famous version, Twilight Zone-esque thing, where it's going to be a different, but the theme is going to be a monster is going to show up somewhere, and that's quite exciting. And they could have stick to that. They could have made it a TV show. But the fact that they leaned into this, to a very kind of cynical thing of not just sticking the brand on it. The fact that they went, okay, no, actually, this is a sequel to the first Cloverfield movie, which was brilliant. I love that movie, but in no way was it like, I was watching it, I thought, like, I better rewatch Cloverfield Paradox, and
thank you.
And I checked my phone, like, because I was like, oh, there must be another half hour here, and I looked down at my phone for like 2 minutes, and I looked back up, and like this Cloverfield monster just like pops up at the end, eats them, I think, and then the movie ends. You're like, God, it was actually so much more insane than I remember.
It's mad.
It is mad. It really is mad. There's a bit where Chris O'Dowd puts his arm through a hole, and it kind of gets
not even a hole.
It's just like
the wall.
The wall just
eats him.
Yeah, the wall just eats his arm, and then his arm is crawling around like Thing from the Addams Family. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, oh, it's some sort of interdimensional, like with some sort of interdimensional rift, and I'm like, what?
And it's his name is Mundy. Mundy, which is an Irish singer songwriter. So clearly, I don't know if he was named after him. Oh, wow.
Maybe. Has Mundy got one arm?
I mean, who knows? We haven't seen Mundy in a while here, bless him.
So when it first came out and you found out or had the name of a Cloverfield, were you like, "Fuck yeah, I'm going to watch this"?
Because there was all that rumors going around that there was going to be a new Cloverfield movie. And you were going to get a trailer released possibly during Super Bowl Sunday. There was going to be a trailer released, and I was living with two guys at the time that were really into Super Bowl, and I was like knackered, like Jimmy, and I was like, I'm going to my bed here. But like, send me a text or something if the Cloverfield trailer gets released, because there was a bit of a buzz, like, kind of like, oh god, like this is something that we're going to really tease this. We're going to really, really tease this, And then the big kind of shock was the trailer came out like they said it would, and it came out now, and it was just really kind of like, oh, that's just like out now. And that was a masterstroke by JJ. That was a way of polishing some shit, like,
Yes.
that you go, okay, this is exciting. That this, I think, and there was a whole just kind of feeling of like, this hadn't been done before. I think it's like straight to movie stuff had been done and all this stuff. But like, this was quite early in streaming and stuff like that. And the fact that this big budget thing that was warranting a Super Bowl ad wasn't getting a theater, wasn't getting a trailer, wasn't getting a cinema release. It was going straight right now. Here we go, off we go. And then I think I watched it straight away. I was like, let's go in for the crack. And I definitely fell asleep by the end of it. I definitely woke up and had the exact same feeling as I did yesterday watching it again, going like, what is this yoke? You know? And because like there's a slam dunk sequel in Cloverfield. You know, you see the guy with the second tape and just think, well, let's do something with that. Or just keep it to found footage. Just keep the rules. Or do what they did with, like, keep the different stories, different casts and all this stuff. But they just completely, whatever yoke they had, whatever this God particle movie was, they just completely fecked everything by trying to make a Cloverfield sequel.
Yeah.
And it left a really bad taste in my mouth that they go like, that you would kind of go, this is what we're gonna do, you know?
It kind of feels like two films. It feels like what's going on in space, and then it kind of feels like what's going on Earth, like that the boyfriend and the mysterious things that you see once in a while in the shadows or whatever. And it doesn't really connect. And it's like at the end when he's screaming down the phone, like, "Tell him not to come back down here. Tell him not to come back down here." And it's like, why? We haven't really seen what's. And then you get the big monster come out at the end, and you're like, oh, I would love to have seen more of that movie instead of this.
Like, and there's an idea that I think where you go like, these lads are in a space station, and like if the Cloverfield attacks are happening, and something was that you could do a kind of like a dual narrative thing or something like that like, what do they think when they're looking down on Earth, and like, because there's a whole thing in the first movie where they said it was a satellite that woke up, thing, and you could do something there, but that never once kind of occurred to them. They just went, that movie that we cannot release. Had it been in the time now where they could just delete stuff for tax, this movie would have got deleted for tax, you know. Yeah. But instead, they did something different with it, and went Cloverfield Monster in it. It's a Cloverfield movie.
Some production company got very lucky because I think Netflix were looking at buying films, and they're like, "We can get this one off the books," kind of thing. And Netflix were like, "Yes, we'll give you 400 million or whatever it is they paid for it, something stupid." And to be fair to Netflix, I think it did work. I think at the time, millions of people watched it.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a good market. It was a great marketing idea, and I think not to because like I do love a lot of stuff JJ did. Like I'm a big Lost guy, you know. I do think that's what he does. I think he is you know that infamous story of, I'm sure because it's, you know, the most famous sequel ever. You know, the aliens, James Cameron $ thing that could be true, could not be true. You know, I think that's what JJ does, is that he will walk in and go. He'll draw a $ on something and go, okay, this is how we do it. And, you know, it did. I think the next Cloverfield movie was going to be Quiet Place. And then someone said, it's good enough to be on its own, you know?
Wow.
That was going to be a Cloverfield. Okay. That was going to be a Cloverfield movie.
Quiet Place does have very Cloverfieldy vibes, doesn't it? Like,
yeah.
It is kind of...
That's a great...
Especially the most recent one. Yeah.
Very good sequels, like. Do you know what I mean? I love a part 2, you know? And in some ways, Cloverfield Paradox, I was thinking about it, in some ways, Cloverfield Paradox feels exactly what you know, like, yeah, we have the Lost World, we have this very exciting thing, we have the watches and cornflakes and all this stuff, but it's also that type of sequel that you see on a VHS, on like the bottom down, that you say there was a movie you loved as a kid, you're like, oh, I'm used to using it like Poltergeist or something like that, and then you see, suddenly you're in looking for something, and you see, God, there was a sequel to that movie. I didn't know that. And you rent it, and it's like the fourth lead is now the star. It's a different thing. Yep. It's a different tone. So in many ways, it's a type of sequel that we don't get anymore.
Yes, but the cast is unbelievable.
The cast is amazing. Yeah.
People kept popping up. I was like, what the hell? What?
There must have been something.
Couldn't believe it.
There must have been something in it that they, and there is some like interest, like, you know, the whole thing of like Gugu Baton Raw's character, where she is saying like her family are alive in this alternate universe, and can she do something for it, you know? So there's interesting,
which is interesting.
Yeah, there's that, you know, that movie Another Earth. That's a class little film. You know, that kind of has similar ideas to that. But any interesting idea they had is just completely smashed through by a massive lizard, like, you know. And I love a massive lizard, but there's just not. There's no need to. I don't drink anymore, but like I said, you know, I mean, like you make a cocktail, you don't just throw in a random spirit, like for no reason. Nah. And that was
just such a mess, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's such a mess. Like, yeah, And it doesn't surprise me that it wasn't intended to be a Cloverfield movie, because that just feels so tacked on that, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I looked at the cast before I watched it, and I was like, this seems okay. There were good people in this, and it's JJ, and it's like, I was like, oh, why haven't I seen this before? And as I started watching it, I was like, okay, I'm sort of there with like, and then it just all goes to pot completely. And I'm like, I've got no idea what I've just seen.
It feels like a bad version of Event Horizon.
It feels very Event Horizon. It feels like a lot of like I did, and like I think, as I said, if it was just released as the God Particle, and it was,
it'd be great.
It was on. It feels like I'm having to kick at Amazon Prime. See, it was on Amazon Prime. You're like, and you go through and I like these guys. You'd watch it and you go, you'd never watch it again, but you go, I'm glad I watched that.
It's all right.
But the fact that there's that cynical aspect to it. That's where you lose me, kind of.
But I want to know why the worms were in the person and why the wall ate his arm. I just don't.
I'm guessing some kind of blending of physics and thing, and like because they
bless you for trying. This is great.
Because they pushed the two things together. That's what I thought.
And is that why she was stuck in the wall?
Because I guess when their ship became their ship, everything, you appeared where you were. Yeah. So you appeared where the worms were, or you appeared in the wall. That's
okay.
Maybe,
God knows. Honestly.
Thank you for bringing that one into my life again. I actually forgot it was a thing until you mentioned it. I was like, oh yeah, there was another Cloverfield sequel, because I'm always thinking, I'd love to see a Cloverfield sequel and see what's going on there on that planet or whatever. And I don't think we'll ever get that movie, sadly.
No, I think for good and bad reasons. I think this killed that legacy, but also I think the fact that A Quiet Place took off. That they kind of went, we don't need you anymore, Plus, I also think JJ fell out of favor a little bit.
Yes. Okay.
I think The Last Skywalker. I think that bill was always going to come due somewhere, And while people love The Last Skywalker for bad reasons, I also think that his bill came due eventually.
Yeah. I think. It's just I saw the trailer for this as well, and the trailer says like it's like a monster came to Earth and now find out why, and I was like, but where you don't find out why?
Is that what the trailer says?
Yeah, the trailer says the 10 years ago monster came to Earth, everything changed. Now find out why. Cloverfield paradox.
Different years, aren't they?
Like that's the great, like it's that this is set 40 years or so in the future, and like
it's 2028 at the time, I think,
and like the world is ending pretty much. Like everyone's at war, and yet Cloverfield, everyone's having a lovely party.
Yes,
everyone's having a lovely party, and it's
a lovely weekend. They're all filming it. It's great. Everyone's having a great time. So this, I again, not to defend it. Blow my mind.
I looked up. When I was thinking, I was like, how did anyone think this was going to line up? And then they said that because the size of the monster at the end, that the one you saw in Cloverfield was a baby, and this was like, this is their species now fully here. But but then if they were like, what is these things? What is this? They would be like, there's a Cloverfield monster again. Jeez, we dealt with that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So it just didn't.
What a mess.
Yeah, it didn't stack up in any shape or form.
Lovely. Got another little question for you. What sequel seemed like a bad idea, but you ended up liking?
God, what sequel that I did end up liking? I would. Oh God, again, there's so many.
We normally dig into like franchises and stuff on this one, like Fast 5 or Mission Impossible 3, something like
Bonds, or the Marvels,
when you
or the leggy sequels like Maverick, you were saying earlier.
Yeah, like it's I suppose the one that we kind of always think like how it was going is something like Maverick, where you think like you don't need it, but it actually is improved. There's a dream sequel formula for me where if it really improves the movie that came before it. Not like, I don't mean like like Blade Runner or something like that. Like the Blade Runner 24.
Yeah.
Where you just think, God, that did that so well. That did it so well that I was a bit cold on Blade Runner. Always have been. I like a lot of heart and things.
I am too. He's not.
I love it.
It's my partner's favorite film. She loves it. It was quite, I was always kind of cold on it because I just like a bit of heart in it. And then with Blade Runner, the sequel came out. It was kind of like, okay, we're going to put that heart in it that you wanted, and you have the lovely thing about I'm going to find your daughter and stuff like that. So that's something that's a dream thing that a sequel can do. I think something like Maverick did that as well, where they're kind of like, look, just trust us, just trust us. But no, I think you've hit the nail on the head, and it is fast. Those Fast and Furious movies. Like, every time you're going to go like, I'm never going to, I'm not going to enjoy this one as much as the last one. Actually, do you know what? Right. Do you know what movie? And I know you guys have done it. Star Trek Beyond. I love it so much.
No, it's great.
I just absolutely love it. And it wasn't probably the movie that anyone asked for. It wasn't the one that, it wasn't the obvious thing. And it was just, trust us,
Yeah.
It was... Look, maybe you don't need this big dark. You don't need Khan. You don't need this. You don't need this. Just trust us, lads. We're just going to give you fun for 2 hours.
That's a great answer.
And I love
it's so
that,
much better than Into Darkness.
Yeah.
So much better.
Yeah. It's absolutely. Yeah, that's a brilliant answer.
God, that's the third time I've hit JJ, and I'm going to have to...
Yeah.
If JJ, if you're listening, man, like, I'm sorry.
To be fair, JJ didn't direct. These are all he's produced, right? Because he didn't direct Beyond.
He produced Into Darkness. He directed Into Darkness, didn't he? And
he directed
Skywalker.
And learned for.
Yeah. So.
And he produced Paradox Cloverfield. So we are 4 for 4 now.
Yeah, I'm so right. And I also want to have a go at Alias while I'm here.
Yeah. So. The Fast and Furious films, are you all up to date?
Yeah, love them. Yeah, that's a treat. That's that thing I was talking about going to a treat. Like, the last one, a little bit too big, The last one is a little bit too big for me, But it was still fun. It was still a great time at the cinema. I remember, that was a big X Division movie. We're talking about X Division movies. Ironically, they were nicking DVD players in that first one. I remember when that first movie came out, and it was like, DVDs were not long out, whatever, but that felt like a really kind of like, here's a DVD rent. Everyone was renting this movie. Everyone was watching that first Fast and Furious movie. Like,
here's Point Break with cars.
Yeah, over Friday night, and it was fine. It wasn't, and then suddenly, I think I fell out with them at all. Like, I don't think I've seen 3 or 4.
Oh,
but
you should watch 4.
You should watch 4. Yeah.
I should.
3, Tokyo Drift's actually good.
Yeah.
Too Fast, Too Furious you can skip. You don't need that one.
I think I've seen that one. I think that was another DVD Friday night. See, my mate's mother worked in X Division, so you would just get a lot of DVDs, But Fast 5, that's when everything kind of came back right,
That's when it went mental, right?
That's when with the safe and the Rock came in. Franchise Viagra, as he calls himself.
Yeah. Where do you think the 10th one, the end? How do you think they're going to end it?
I think they kind of have to end it at that house, don't they? I don't know how they're going to do it. Like, especially now that
all hand in hand.
Yeah, like they've blown up a dam and all this stuff. It's I did like in that 10th one they played with that idea of like the bad guy is suddenly now good, and there was that new kind of bad guy in it. He was just like a gun for hire, and then he kind of like, you saved me, Dom. I'm with you now. And then he betrayed them, and Jason Momoa was like, you're so fast to let people into your family. I was like, do you know what? I didn't see that coming. They played with that idea that everyone knows about with Fast and Furious.
Yeah. Are you actually a fan of the Fast and Furious? You love them?
Oh yeah,
right?
no, I do. Yeah, like it's such a treat of a, like I said, such a treat of a to go to the cinema.
Is it a weekend in London treat?
No, I mean I'd do that for anything. Like, you know what I mean? But that is the an absolute treat.
Yeah. Okay, let's get on to your dream sequel, because I think this is going to be really interesting, actually. What is your dream sequel?
Vanilla Sky.
Wow.
I had an answer in my head, right? And I had that in my head. I was saying to myself, like, oh, you know what movie I've always loved to see? I would love to see a proper sequel is like Kong and Skull Island. That Tom Hiddleston 70s. You know what I mean? I'd love to see, you know, I would love to see that, you know? But then I was saying to myself, now look, I was like, what is, if someone gave you one, if someone said to you, what is the one movie that you'd love to see a sequel of? Not something you just like. I think I would drive a lot between Galway, Dublin, everywhere. You know, I mean, it's like a 2.5 hour drive. And I was thinking to myself about dream sequels. And, you know, I love Chris Nolan. I'll say about Interstellar and things like that. But, you know, leave Chris Nolan alone. He's a one, apart from the Dark Knight movies. I like the fact that his movies are just completely of its own.
Standalone. Yeah.
And then we move on to the next Chris Nolan thing. So I was like, no, I'm leaving Chris Nolan alone. And then ironically, I told myself, like, well, one movie you wouldn't touch is Vanilla Sky. It's my favorite movie of all time. It's my favorite movie of all time. I love it. I think it's perfect. I adore every moment of it. I watched it 2 weeks ago again. I watch it every year, if not twice a year. And by the time I drove from Dublin to Galway, I told myself, not only can you touch Vanilla Sky, we have to make the sequel. So if JJ, if you are listening, I've convinced myself I have the best idea ever for a Vanilla Sky sequel.
Brilliant.
Well, I want to hear it because I've never thought of a Vanilla Sky sequel. I think it's a great... I've only ever watched it twice in my life. It was once in the cinema and once yesterday. And it confuses me for most of it every time. But I think they do a really good job of explaining at the end. It makes it really... Like, for most of it, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then they do a lovely explanation at the end. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the sequel.
So, look, you know what I mean? Spoilers here for Vanilla Sky. You know?
Oh, let's go for it.
Oh, yeah. We say at the start we're going to spoil all these movies. It's all good.
You know, we all know, like, Tom Cruise is in a dream. You know? Tom Cruise is he's in a dream. He's in Ellie, Life Extensions, this company. You know, the dream has gone wrong. Again, I just love Vanilla Sky so much. That, you know, he falls in love and the car crash and then its consequences, David, you know? And that is the lesson of Vanilla Sky. It's consequences that, you know, things, you know, as Sophia says to him, you know, you're snowboarding through life here.
Yeah.
And then as you realize that the man has died and this is his dream life, and he's taken
mind blown.
He's taken, you know, memories of old and pop culture he loved, and the fact that, you know, and he saw a movie once late at night that taught him what love could be like and all this stuff. And I love that it plays with all this stuff. You mean Cameron Crowe said
and the music is so good. It's Cameron Crowe in it.
You know, it goes from Elevator Beat there when tech support's explaining to him Elevator Beat.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful little acoustic riff written by Nancy Wilson, who was Cameron Crowe's wife at the time. And it's just this lovely thing. And then you go from that scene into my favorite movie scene of all time, which is, you know, when David Ames, Tom Cruise's character, says to export, tell me who died. And then you hear spiritualized, ladies and gentlemen, are floating in space. And he tells him this beautiful, and I want to start going here. You know what I mean? He starts saying this, you know, this whole beautiful moment of what happened after his life, you know?
Yeah.
And there's the line that, you know, there's that line, you were missed, David. You know? I think it's the most beautiful thing, where that's the fact that you could, a man who was crippled with sadness and didn't see, you know what I mean? The fact that you could say to him, you were missed, is just the most lovely thing. And it's a thing I adore, and ties into my favorite line in The Last Jedi of no one's really gone, you know? It's just this lovely bit of comfort and joy, and I just adore it, you know? I just adore that movie. That did not answer the question that you asked. I just went on a massive tangent about how much I love
I love
Vanilla Sky. So I think you could do something. I've already cast Daisy Edgar Jones in this. Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
I've cast Daisy Edgar Jones. I was going to go with Paul Mescal, but I thought, no, let's do something. You know, and Glenn Powell would be kind of the obvious choice. But no, we're going with Daisy Edgar as a sequel, okay? And I think because everyone who has seen Vanilla Sky and a lot of people did not like that movie knows the end. That twist is like, oh, it was all a dream. It was all a dream, like, and all that stuff. It's like, well, if you entered this sequel and you knew this, whatever you're seeing is probably a dream, you could play with that idea. So I would just love to, this idea that I had driving very, very late at night is that this LA Life Extension, this company that put David Ames in the tank and gave him the lucid dream package and gave him this dream life that people clearly were buying, like, because at the end of Vanilla Sky, tech support is saying to David Ames, the world is very, very different now. Your finances won't last long. So who knows how long, and we know in a dream time changes differently. So we don't know how long, but clearly this company still exists for a long, long time. So you have a long world to play with there. This company was doing this, was offering this package, offering the lucid dream package. So if you had someone who has, once you start the movie, this is their lucid dream, and they're having this is the life that they want, and you have Daisy Edgar, and I love those moments in Vanilla Sky where he'll suddenly kind of wake up and he's Tom Cruise, and he'll go to the mirror, and suddenly he'll start kind of getting a bit, kind of like he'll get a kind of a jump shock, and he'll see like his face is, you know, back to the way it was post the accident. Is that I think you could just do something lovely with those kind of jump scares, that you have Daisy Edgar Jones kind of like, she wakes up late at night and like in the corner of the room, you know, that white mask, she sees a figure just like just kind of flash up, you see this figure, white mask, and she starts going like, this is weird. And essentially that error that bled into David Ames thing has now bled into this other person's dream. And and what I love about this guy is that it plays with, like I said, it plays with pop culture, and it blends things in. It's that like you could blend in the fact that this is a kind of a, you know, almost like you could blend in sequels into that kind of pop culture things, you know, that Back to the Future 2 had that wonderful thing of like, we're re-looking at things from the first movie. It's that, you know, like suddenly kind of streets are the same, like the Vanilla Sky is kind of like the same, because his memories, that same glitch is now bleeding into hers, and she's seeing these memories that aren't hers, they were his. Yeah, that horror is her there. And because the fact that, you know, a viewer knows this is a dream, you could go full on Inception with it, like have those streets, have them bend. And essentially is that line in the first Vanilla Sky where tech support says the dream became a nightmare, you know, have the nightmare become a dream, where everyone is aware it's a dream. And here's JJ, I know I've been harsh on you, but like I'm going to make you $1 billion here. So we're still good here. Is at the ending. The ending or the third act came to me, okay?
Okay.
The movie Vanilla Sky ends with someone saying, David, open your eyes, okay? And we don't know who that is. We don't know who the voice is. We don't ever see that. One assumes it's a life extension, the company that put him to sleep, waking him up in this new world. That's what it probably is. But what if we have Daisy Edgar Jones having to find David Ames and wake him and say, David, open your eyes. And the end of that movie is the end of that movie. And it's just, this is what I'm going for. And I think we could do
yeah. The movie starts with David, open your eyes as well, doesn't it? Because Cameron Diaz records on his on his alarm clock. David, open your eyes. Yeah,
we start this one with David, open your eyes as well. Like maybe she's maybe she's a nephew or something like that. She's trying to wake up or something like that called David. And I just think you could do something beautiful about because Vanilla Sky is all about memories, and it's all about how we play at memories, and the stuff that he does, that image of him walking down the street in New York with Sophia, and it's just from the Bob Dylan album cover. It's because it's not that he had that moment. That's what he thinks Perfect Love is, because he saw it once at the album cover. And it plays with those things of like, sometimes real life is brilliant and it's fantastic and it's great, but a lot of times we imagine what we wish for something better, and we think this could be brilliant and this could be great, because we've seen it in movies, we've seen it in this, we've seen it on album covers. We go, God, that would be great for me. And Vanilla Sky brings that all in, and I think if you kind of, we take all those themes and put it into, and just do that, do it again sounds easy, but I it's a theme that I love, and I've now convinced myself I need to see it.
Well, you need to write it then.
I need to write it. I need Paul Mescal. Surely someone here knows Paul Mescal. Like, you know what I mean?
Someone listening will know someone who knows someone.
Yeah, and go get Daisy. I think you wouldn't need Tom. We wouldn't need Tom to show up like Harrison Ford in Blade Runner. We would need him to turn up at some point. Because you don't want to be that VHS sequel. You don't want to be that VHS sequel at the bottom of the shelf, And
you know what? I think he's about to start trying acting again soon.
I think
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So I think he might be up for it. I was doing a bit of research on Vanilla Sky today, and I think Penelope Cruz is great in this film.
She's amazing.
And she got nominated for a Golden Raspberry for Worst Actress.
Really?
Insanity.
Just how bad those awards are.
Yeah.
Madness.
Just that line, and it's a good line in fairness. Isn't that line? I don't watch 30 Rock, but because people know how much I love Vanilla Sky, I always get some that clip in 30 Rock where someone says, about 2001, they're like, look, it was 2001, we're all recovering from Vanilla Sky,
I remember seeing Vanilla Sky for the first time, and I hadn't really seen anything about it. It was just, I think we were travelling back from college on a Wednesday, and we always went and saw a film on Wednesday afternoon. I was like, oh, it's Tom Cruise in it. It would be great. Cameron Crowe. They did Jerry Maguire together. We'll go watch that. And by the end of it, I was like, whoa. Because then I found out it was like a remake of a Spanish film, and Cameron Cruise is in that film playing the same part. And I've always loved Cameron Diaz, ever since The Mask.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah.
And she's perfect in that,
She's so good in this film. I forgot how good she is in this film.
That remake, Open Your Eyes, the original. It kind of helped. I think this kind of helped feel like something was a bit off when watching Vanilla Sky. I remember watching my friend Doc in the cinema, and I was just loving this. This is so up my street.
Yeah.
And I was just absolutely loving it. And my mate Doc beside me, he was just like shuffling, like, and he's like, I was like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, I seen this. Like, and I was like, no, this is brand new. I'm like, but RTE, the Irish ITV, they would throw on movies late at night, like, and they would, if something was in favour, they'd throw it on, like, you know what I mean? And so clearly that really late, the night before Vanilla Sky was released, they put on the Spanish original of Open Your Eyes, and
amazing.
Doc is watching it, and he's like, he just had that car crash, yeah. I was like, yeah. And he's like, I think he's dreaming. I've seen this. And I was like, this guy, this movie's hitting him in a way. I'm not sure what it is. And turns out he was dead right. It was a remake, But it almost added to that feeling of like something being unusual. That he was like, God, what? No, I've definitely seen this film before.
It's like this watching Vanilla Sky is Vanilla Skying myself.
Yeah.
Those were Andy Gaffney's Unequal Sequels. And what quality picks?
Amazing picks by an absolutely lovely guy. I loved that chat with Andy.
Me too.
He was just so great to chat with. We had a lot of fun on that one, and I hope it shines through. It was also mayhem to record, but I think I've cut out a lot of the bits that were mayhem. But it was great. Best pick. Finally, someone's picked it. And a lot of people might make a lot of people angry.
Yeah.
And that is The Last Jedi. Now, what she's so excited about The Last Jedi being picked as the best sequel is that Rich slowly has to come round to that The Last Jedi is a good film.
I am coming round to The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I didn't like it the first time I watched it. The more I watch it, the more I am coming round to it. There are still quite a few bits of it I don't like, but that doesn't spoil the whole movie. And also, The Last Jedi looks like a masterpiece compared to Rise of Skywalker.
It definitely, that's true. I was watching bits the other day, just the score is still so good. Like when it's really strong, The Last Jedi is really strong.
When it's really good, it's really good. But
Really
also
good.
I think when it's bad, it's really quite bad.
It was also trying to be brave enough to do something slightly different in certain ways,
And
story-wise.
you've got to
Star
applaud
Wars.
that. You actually have to applaud that. Yeah, absolutely. And there are a lot of people who really love it. But there's also a lot of people that really hate it. So it's going to be a polarising best sequel. But Andy's reasons for loving it, I think you can't argue with, really.
Well, him and his friends came over to London just to watch Star Wars film for like 3 years in a row or something, which is just sounds amazing. And now I've gone for the last few weeks since we've recorded with Andy, just going around, that's a great crack, a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, it's a great crack. Yeah, I think that's brilliant. Trips over to London just to see Star Wars and make an event of it.
Yeah.
Bad pick, Rich. Worst ever sequel. Have you ever seen this before?
I had never seen this before, and it was very bad. Very
bad. The
bad.
Cloverfield Paradox.
It's one of those movies where I'm watching it and I'm thinking, have I missed a bit? Did I fall asleep? And because I got no clue what's happening. Like it is a very strange movie.
That seems to be a running thing for most bad sequels.
Yeah.
I don't get what's going on now. And then,
no.
It's a bit mad. But I say I've kind of forgotten about film now because it was released with a big bang on Netflix. And now I think people kind of forgot that it's a film and forgot that it's
it is incredibly
forgettable,
to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
There's only one bit I remember from it, and it's not a good bit, and we talk about it in the episode anyway. But it's not. I remember it because it's bad, not because it's good.
There's a lot of bad bits, and that's a real bad pick. And one we haven't had before, so we do appreciate that. And I only watched it once before, and I forgot the whole film until I watched it again, and I still don't understand it. Anyway, it's rubbish. Dream sequel was an absolute treat this time.
Yeah. You love a Tom Cruise movie.
Well, obviously, I'm one of the Tom Cruise guys.
You are, yeah. And this is
movies,
quite
not-
a strong.
Not him.
Yeah. This is quite a strong Tom Cruise movie as well. I think in the lineup, this is a good one, right?
I hadn't watched Vanilla Sky since I watched it in the cinema. When was ever that? 2002.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, that was a long time ago.
And it confused me then. It just shows you now I've got a bit of clever. Can't even say clever. Cleverer.
I love how you're trying to say you've got a bit cleverer and you can't even say the word.
Stay it in.
Amazing.
You enjoyed it, right? It's a great film.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And Andy's pick for he tells us all about. He wants who is Daisy Edgar Jones in the sequel with Tom Cruise. Good choice, and it works around. And I would watch it, obviously.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Some funny stories. But yeah, Andy's a great guy. Andy Gaffney. He has his own podcast network.
It's called the Shift Podcast Network. And so you've got different podcasts on there. The one that I really like is the Promenade podcast.
Yeah, which has won lots of awards, and
it's won lots of awards. It's very different, and you should give it a listen because it's really nice.
They're really short.
They're really short, and they're really heartfelt, and it's just a really good podcast.
It shows you what you can do with a podcast. It opened my eyes quite a bit listening to Promenade. With the whole production of it, and it's a beautiful listen. Season 3, he tells me, is about to drop at some point very, very soon.
Yeah, so listen out for that.
There's 2 seasons already done. Listen to that new series when it comes, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful podcast. Very different from anything I've listened to before.
Yeah, but definitely made with love. You can tell.
Oh, absolutely, a lot of hard work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so go check that out, and it's great. But thank you so much, Andy, for coming on. We had a right good laugh talking to you and talking about your picks. We really appreciate you coming on, and thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to hear more interviews like the one we've done with Andy, if you just tune in because you're a big Promenade fan, you want to hear a bit of Andy, then go back and listen to all our other episodes. We've got loads of interview episodes. We're in season 7 now. So there's loads more you can go back and listen to. And while you're there, if you want to hit the subscribe button, the auto download button, it really helps other people to find the podcast when we've got loads of subscribers. So please make sure you do that. Also, if you really, really love us, we do have a subscription service. So if you go over to anotherslice.com/unequal sequel, you can pay just $2.99 a month, which is an absolute bargain, and you'll get 3 extra podcasts from us. So you'll be able to hear more from Andy on the sequel sessions, because we do a little sequel session to each one of our podcasts, our guest episode podcasts over there. We also do Disenfranchised and Box Set Mentality, both extra kind of podcasts from us. So you can get all of that for just $2.99 a month over on anotherslice.com/unequal sequel. Get in touch with us. Let us know what you thought of Andy's picks. We are on all the social medias, and you can get in touch with us on email. We're unequalsequel@hotmail.com. We will read out all your comments in our end of month roundup, which surprisingly enough comes at the end of the month.
Genius. Andy's sequel sessions chat is a lovely little chat. We talk about his career and how he got started in podcasting, and he was an early taker of podcasts very early on. He has a fascinating career, and it's a lovely little chat, so check that out on Another Slice. I've got nothing else to say. Thank you for listening. We go on to next week, season 7, episode 4. It's another good one. So can't wait for you guys to listen to that. It's a goodbye from me. Bye-bye. And it's a goodbye from him.
Bye!
See you on the next one. Sequel to this one. Have a great week.
Do you think there'll ever be a time where we say it's not a great one next week?
I don't think so.
I don't think we've ever recorded a guest episode where we've come out of it going, oh, that wasn't very good.
That was awful. There's a few they took a while to warm up, but once they were in, they were in.
Yeah. And sometimes those end up being the best ones, right?
They do,
Take a little bit of time to warm up, and then it ends up being amazing. Yeah.
I love this podcast. It's great.
Yeah.
Should give it 5 stars, everyone.
Yes, you should.